Welcome back to another episode of the NCAA Cross Country Show. I'm your host, Gordon Mack, and today we're going to recap what happened this past weekend. We're kind of into the final stages of the regular season, or the preseason / regular season, because we all know 2 weeks from now, Nuttycombe and Pre-Nats is when we'll separate the men from the women, well, literally in two different races, but the men from the boys and the women from the girls, to discover who are the true NCAA title contenders going into the postseason. But until we get there, we got to wait a few weeks. But let's recap this past week. And we had a few meets go down in, we had one go down in Notre Dame. We had some in California, some in the South, all over the place. Northeast, my hometown, Bethlehem, PA. We'll get into that race. We'll recap those meets, and then I'll give you my little 2 cents of what I thought of one specific meet that I'm sure a few of you diehard cross-country fans were a little kind of disappointed in. You kind of wanted something, you didn't get it. You went to watch this new Netflix TV show. The first episode is really good, and then the next 10 you watch, and you're like, what have I done with my 10 hours of life? Anyway, I'll get into that later. First, let's recap October 4th rankings. Oh, it's October 4th, Monday. You're watching this on a Tuesday, but the October 4th rankings, and spoiler alert, nothing much happened. If you look at the team rankings, the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, and 8th ranked teams all stayed locked in at their spots. On the women's side, very similar. The 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5 ranked team stayed in their slots, with 6, 7, 8 kind of shuffling around a bit with Arkansas, Colorado, and Washington. So the top title contenders didn't have much movement. There was, however, movement beyond the top 10 on the team side. On the men's side, you had teams like Villanova and Wisconsin jump up from 24th and not ranked to 11th and 12th. You also had a few other not ranked teams jump in the mix. Utah State, now 21, they were not ranked. Georgetown was 13th. They dropped down to 20th. So there was a little bit of movement there, but nothing too crazy, especially at the top end on the men's side. On the women's side, again, same story. Top teams kind of stayed in place. A little bit of movement, though, in the bottom tier. We had 3 newly ranked teams in Georgetown, Villanova, and California Baptist, which is a soon-to-be Division I school. I don't believe they get to compete at the NCAA level this year, but I think next year they do get to compete, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the year after that. They're a D2 team becoming a D1 team. You got to wait 4 years, man. 4 years of no NCAA championship eligibility before you can become purely D1, which is what Cal Baptist is doing. And before they even become D1, they're already, in my mind, a top 25 team in the nation at the D1 level. But we'll dive into those rankings more as the season goes along. But first, let's recap this past weekend. We had a meet in my hometown, Bethlehem, PA, greatest city in America, according to a survey of one, me. It's where I was born. Lehigh University hosted the Paul Short Run. On the men's side, North Carolina came victorious over Villanova. Close 1-point win, 56-57. You can tell that the difference was the fifth man. Villanova's fifth man was 29th. North Carolina's was 19th. That's what will do it for you. Individually, Caleb Garnica won. Yeah, I think he's like a 5th or 6th year senior over there at Utah State. And Parker Wolf, the lone wolf, I call him, the true freshman at North Carolina under Milt's program, follows up his win from a few weeks ago with a 5th place finish in this race. Pretty impressive there for the young star Parker Wolf. On the women's side, we had another close race. In fact, extremely close because it was a tie. NAU and Villanova, both 85 points each. And the tiebreaker in this situation is not the 6th woman. It's actually who wins head-to-head between your top 5. NAU had a better number 1 runner and a better number 4 runner and a better number 5 runner. So therefore, Villanova's better number 2 and number 3 runner gets trumped by having 3 better runners in your top 5. In this case, if we would have done the 6th runner as a tiebreaker, which some high schools do, NAU still would have won. And if you would have done the tiebreaker that I believe you should do, which is what you should do, remove all the teams and just do straight up dual meet style between the two teams. If you do that, These are the results. It would have been NAU, Nova, 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 NAU, 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 Nova, Nova. And in that situation, NAU's 27 points to Nova's 28. So there you have it. That is what went down the women's side. Individually, Taryn O'Neill got her first win of the year, her season debut. She's probably a top 5 contender individually. And Grace Forbes, my super sleeper out there, the sophomore from Rice University, coming in second behind O'Neill. Impressive run for her. So keep an eye on Grace Forbes individually as we get closer to Tallahassee. So that's what happened at the Paul Short. Moving over to Louisville, the Live in Lou Classic. We had a Big Ten battle between Michigan and Wisconsin. Michigan women kind of soundly defeat the Wisconsin women. On the men's side, we had a D2 versus D1 battle between Wisconsin and Grand Valley State. Now, while Wisconsin won the team score with the East, 26 points to Grand Valley State's 67, Grand Valley State actually won the individual race. You check this race video out, you see Isaac Harding of Grand Valley State out kicking Olin Hacker, the fifth-year D1 star from Wisconsin. Does this settle the unknown debate? Is D2 athletes on the same level as D1 athletes? Can you be a great D2 runner and take down D1 runners? Well, in this situation, I mean, Isaac Harding got the job done representing D2 schools. However, I have to ask a question. Does it count? Does this D2 win over a D1 athlete matter? Because if we look into the details, Isaac Harding, he's a former D1 athlete who moved to D2, previously ran for Michigan, transferred to Grand Valley State, has been running well at Grand Valley State. I mean, he's run 13:43 in the 5, 29:06 in the 10, 7:53 in the 3K. He's a legit runner no matter what division you put him in. But the D1 stands are going to say, the only reason you beat us was because we trained you for a year or two. I mean, not real, but Isaac Harding, potential NCAA champion there for over at Grand Valley State. So looking good. Moving over to Arkansas, we had some meets. The Arkansas women won easily with their B squad, but we saw Chrissy Gear win. Look at this win. She won by 26 seconds. For those who don't remember, she DNF'd at the Dillinger meet 2 weeks ago over out in Oregon. Arkansas didn't run as well as a team. Makes sense why. One of their top runners, Chrissy Gear, DNF'd when she's actually running. She's running 5:16 pace for an easy 5K victory in 16:24. Over on the men's side, Zuha Talbi, who for some people may not know, he's been all over the collegiate running scene. I can say this because you see this now. Let's bring up his TFERS page, as some would call it. He has run. Let's put Zuhartal TFERS 2019. Okay, here we go. 2019. He ran for Northwest Kansas in JUCO. He's now running for Oklahoma City in the NAIA, where he won the NAIA Cross Country Championships. He also almost went to Florida State as a D1 star, but this guy, man, he's run fast. He ran 13:44 in a 5K. I believe he ran a fast 10K at some of those COVID-safe track meets that they put on over the past year or so. So this guy's all over the place, but he wins. Unfortunately, we don't get to see him race at the D1 level. He's going to be stuck in the NAIA circuits until he graduates. But, yeah, what else do I want to show? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Let's go on to the race that I want to talk about most. And that race is the Notre Dame Joe Piani Invitational. We'll start the women. NC State, the number one team on the FloTrack rankings. I feel like the number one team's in everyone's mind except for people who live in Provo, Utah, because they believe BYU will win, obviously. They destroy this field. They beat a podium contending team in New Mexico. They beat a podium contending team in Alabama. Same with Washington. And they beat them soundly. 38 points. They put 6 in the top 19, 5 in the top 12. Incredible run. Kelsey Camille was the number one runner. Caitlin Toohey, who was the number one runner at their home meet, was the number 3 runner here. So they clearly are very interchangeable. And more impressively, I don't know if this is good or bad, Dominique Clermont, who's a senior, she finished 88th. She was her number 7 runner. Dominique Clermont has the talent to be a top 20 at NCAAs. Now, maybe she's dealing with an injury. Maybe she's taking it easy. We don't know. Maybe she's had a bad race. Maybe ate at the wrong Chipotle the night before and it all turned south from there and she finished 88th place. But if Dominique Clermont can get to her normal form, her raw talent form, they have an unbelievable top 7. Because Camille is showing she can be top 20. Steelman has been top 20. Tui's running like a top 20 runner. You see Sarah Latour, who was right behind Tui, throwing to Clermont. Throw in, dare I say it, let's go to the open race. Savannah Shaw, who won the open race. Maria Howlett, Isabel Zimmerman. They have so many runners. So many riches. They need to field 2 teams. They should go not just number 1. They should field a team of 14 and try to go 1-2. That's how deep NC State is. It's incredible. They are the number 1 team until BYU has a chance to show what they got next in 2 weeks from now. Anyway, back to individual women. Mercy Chilang got the NCAA champion. She wins first race of the year. Good for her. But surprisingly, she got a new teammate with her. Finishing neck and neck with her was Flomena Isikole. I said her name wrong. I apologize. JUCO transfer. Mentioned her in a previous episode. If she runs the way she's running, a.k.a. neck and neck with the defending NCAA champion and her teammate, Mercy Chilangat. If Alabama has 2 Mercy Chilangats, if Alabama also has the 3rd place finisher from last year in Amaris Tainamisa, who finished 28th in this race. Also, Esther Gitayi, who's a sub-16 5K runner who could be an All-American, was, I believe, an All-American last year, top 40. They could have, not just have 4 women in the top 40, they could have maybe 4 women in the top 30, 3 women in the top 20, 3 women in the top 10. It's incredible what they have through 4. Now, the question is, through 5... It's a little up in the air. You can see their 5th place runner, 103rd. Pretty fall back. I mean, you look at the other top teams, NC State's, their 5th runner was 12th. New Mexico's was 26th. Alabama's 102nd. One is not like the other. Now, Alabama does have Jamie Reed, who we don't know if she's injured or not, or healthy or not, or holding the cards or not. I texted the assistant coach, and he refused to tell me. So we're just going to have to wait. Will Alabama debut a solid 5th runner by SECs, by regionals, by NCAAs? And if they do, I know I just crowned NC State the 1-2 champion. Alabama may have other ideas, because if Alabama can put 4 in the top 20, I don't care what NC State has. That's going to be very hard to beat. Assume they have a 5th who finishes like 40th. Whatever. Regardless, that's the women's rankings. Not rankings, results. Some other interesting names. Stephanie Parsons. She's a D2, throwback D2 transfer. Runs well for New Mexico, is their top runner. And Joy Churcher, freshman, Toledo. Toledo actually has 2 good runners. They finished 9th here, but there's Faith Linga. She actually is better than 50th here. So Toledo coming up on the map. The Rockets. Is that what they are? Rockets? I think that's a rocket. Yeah. Anyway, we'll dive more into the women's rankings and results as the season goes on. But now let's move over to the men's side. Okay. We have Notre Dame hosting a national world-class event, bringing schools from the South, from the Southeast, from the Northeast, from the West Coast in Washington, from the Midwest of Minnesota, from Furman, from Weber State, right? All over. North, South, Mountain, all the regions. Everyone's coming here to race each other. And Notre Dame, the number 2 team in the nation, is there. They're going to destroy the field. Not true. They're going to finish 11th overall. The number 2 team in the country finishing 11th at their home meet, the marquee meet of the year that they have hosting. And they finish 11th. Not because they're the 11th best team, but because they didn't run anyone. They ran one guy, Matthew Carmody, who probably could be in their top 7 based on this performance. But they really ran their JV squad or their B squad or their, 10 through 21 squad. Solomon, Seitzer, Kosian, Kreft, all these guys, none of them are going to be at the NCAA championships. We don't have Dylan Jacobs. You don't have Danny Killeray. You don't have Yaron Naguse. You don't have a bunch of these other guys who are going to be on the starting line in Tallahassee. And it's kind of disappointing. I wanted to see the number 2 team in the nation. I wanted to see a team that is all in on trying to beat NAU this year, especially on their home course. They slept in their own beds. They probably were there watching in street clothes. I bet you they even did a workout that day. I bet you they did a workout on that course while the JV squad was warming up for their race. It is kind of crazy. I don't like it. I don't like that Notre Dame does this. I get it. The coach, good coach. Sean Carlson, great coach. Obviously, he's created an Olympian out of Yaron Naguse. They got second. They're in chance to win. He not taking any away from his skill set as a coach, his leadership, all that. It's just frustrating because as fans, as media, as people who are trying to promote cross country, you want to see the top teams compete, and you don't want to only see them race like once or twice in an entire fall. I get to watch Alabama football team play football like 14 times. I'm only going to get to see the Notre Dame cross country team full strength maybe, if I'm lucky now, 4 times, but I'm probably only going to see it 2 to 3 because I bet you they probably run a half squad at ACCs because they're that good, or a half squad at regionals because they're that good. You know what I'm trying to say. They're not going to run the full squad multiple times, and people don't get to see what they have. It's frustrating. I don't like it. Anyway, sorry. You're still ranked second, though. I'm not going to drop you in the rankings. I'm not going to hold it against you. You're still the 1A and 1B with NAU for the team title. So you're still looked at as an incredible team in the rankings and in my view. But as a fan, come on. At least go out there and maybe jog or something. We want to see the stars. Anyway, back to the people who actually race. Adrian Wildershut, who's been running out of his mind. 23:06, pretty quick for this course. Wins again. Jonathan Davis, who was Big Ten runner-up, runs well here, 23:11. Nicholas Scudder, Charlotte runner. Hey, man, small school, don't care. Mixing it up with the big boys in the Big Tens, ACCs, gets third in this race. Team-wise, Furman win 129 points. That's a lot of points. Typically, the winning team at meets like this, where they're not pre-nats or NCAAs, typically aren't won in 129 points. Typically, they're won in like 50 points. And because of that, I'm looking at these results kind of with a grain of salt. If you look at my team rankings, and I apologize, I really do. Just don't send the hate mail or the hate tweets or the hate whatever links or URLs. Let's look at my team rankings this week. Furman, the Joe Piani Notre Dame Invitational champions, are not ranked. I didn't rank them in the top 25. In fact, NC State, who finished like 10th in this race, I still ranked 17th. Georgetown, who lost to Notre Dame, that running a B squad, I still rank 20th. Florida State, I still rank 23rd. Michigan, who lost to Furman, I still rank 25th. Now, don't get me wrong, Michigan, I dropped down to 25. I had them 12th. I dropped them down to 25. Florida State, I dropped down. NC State, I dropped down 3 notches. Now, the reason why a lot of these teams stayed is because despite having, like I said, like a not good performance at Joe Piani, a lot of these teams held out some good runners, which will drastically change their score, or they didn't run well here, but they have people on their roster who have done something impressive in the past 365 days. And if you've done something impressive, according to my database, in the past calendar year, I'm not going to let a bad Joe Piani result drop you too low. Furman, on the other hand, they haven't had that many athletes who've done something that impressive in the past 365 days. Now, Daniel Bernal, he's good. He'll probably be top 50, I bet. But outside of that, they have a lot of unproven guys. Schubert, Ponder, Aaron Weir, he was good, but not most recently. He was good probably 2 years ago. Some of these guys were good like in 2018, so it's been a while. So here's my offer to you, Furman. The Paladins, the purple and white from Greenville, South Carolina. You're not ranked now. But if you do something at pre-nats or Nuttycombe, I'm not sure which meet you're going to. If you finish top 10, top 15, not only will I rank you in the top 25, but I will publicly apologize for holding your 129-point score against you, and I will atone for my sins. I will wear purple. I'll do whatever you ask. But until then, I'm going to hold on to the fact I don't think you're top 25 yet. Probably top 31. You'll probably make the meet, but not top 25. Anyway, just want to say that, get off my chest. I feel bad. They won the best meet of the weekend, and I didn't even rank them. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now, I talked about how Notre Dame didn't run. Notre Dame isn't the only team that's been kind of messing with the system, kind of dodging the bullets, you say. You see, the women of Washington came out here and got fourth. However, the men of Washington, they decided to run at this meet called the 46th Charles Boyles Williamette XC Invitational, and they perfect scored 15 points against teams like Humboldt State, George Fox, Pacific Lutheran, Williamette, Whitman, Whitworth. That is a crazy. Williamette, Whitman, Whitworth. That's a crazy 10, 11, 12 seating. Portland was there, but they ran a B squad. What I'm trying to say is Washington is also kind of doing what Notre Dame did, where they're just not going to run their top guys until pre-nat Nuttycombe weekend or even until Pac-12s. Same thing with Stanford a little bit. The women, Zofia Dudek and Audrey Dodemio, they went 1-2 at a meet in Sacramento State against teams like Academy of Art, Sierra, San Jose State. So Stanford also kind of doing a little dip, dodge, avoid the carnage of the big teams like NC State and New Mexico. I think Stanford is a top 4 team, yet they're out here running at Sacramento State. Now I get it. Travel, training, you have a plan. The coach is like, hey, we're peaking for this and that, upside this, what. I don't care. I just want to see you guys race. But whatever. It'll all be forgiven, I guess, in Tallahassee when you podium or win, whatever. But I will say this dipping and dodging of races and some people not even debuting, I kind of want to dive deep into that and see like how many of these like star athletes have we even yet to see run one race, like even a 5K in early September. I looked it up and these are some of the top. This is my data. You can see all of my data sheets and ignore all of this stuff. Just focus on these names. Ignore all the numbers. I'll just focus on here. Kirian Lum, he's a 13:25K run for Washington. Hasn't run yet. Sydney, the freshman from Arkansas, top recruit. She's probably not running because she's hurt, but star freshman, haven't seen her yet. We mentioned the Notre Dame. Danny Killeray hasn't run yet. Julia Haymack, probably the number 1 runner for Stanford, hasn't run yet. Melanie Smart for Washington hasn't run yet. Yared Nagus hasn't run yet. Brian Fay, he's from Ireland. He's a 13:45K runner. He hasn't run yet. Oregon hasn't run. Anita Konasek. Taylor Summers from Oklahoma State hasn't run. Cole Bullock from Ole Miss. Isaac Akers from Tulsa. Ian Shanklin, number 1 runner for NC State. He hasn't run. I could go on and on. Virginia hasn't run. Nathan Mountain. Great name. Can't wait to see him run at NCAA, run in the NCAAs because he ran 402 in high school. Very good. Anyway, all these people, I came up with a list. Let's sort it by team. You look at this team, you see bunch of Notre Dame athletes, right? You see 2 Ole Miss athletes, a man and a woman. 2 Stanford athletes. You see 3 Wake Forest athletes. Look at all these Washington athletes, a couple Wisconsin athletes. Long story short, it's just like, we want to see these stars. Now, I get it. Some of them are hurt. There's reasons. Some of them aren't hurt, and they're training fine. I get it. I get it, and I don't get it. I just want to see people like Jamie Reed run from Alabama, right? I want to see Garrett Marsing, BYU Steepler. Let's see what he can do. But I guess we'll have to wait. I will give the people, though, as you can see, we do these rankings here, right? Got the top 250 rankings where I rank every athlete top 250, right? Let's see who is ranked 225th in the nation. It is Elijah Armstrong, senior from BYU. 250th, Syracuse, Noah Beveridge. Well, how do I go this deep? I'm going to show you guys a little behind the scenes of the ranking document. It is a crazy document. It has multiple tabs, but here it is. This is the ranking document. You can see I have the athletes, I have the team year, I have this rating system. I don't want to explain my secrets, but I have 2019 results, 2020 conference, 2020 NCAA cross country, 2021 NCAA outdoor. Then I have the weekend of September 10th, 17th, 24th, etc. And then I convert all their marks into certain type of ratings that I figured out. And this list goes basically, look at this number, 5,000 deep. So I'm going through 5,000 Division I names. And I come up with these top 250 men, top 250 women. It's a wild algorithm. It keeps changing as we get deeper into the season. But I just want to give you guys a kind of look of the craziness of what I'm trying to put together here to figure out who the 31 teams will be, what will the order of the 255 athletes on those 31 teams will be, and give you guys the data. It's all about data, right? So those are my rankings. Not much changes. Check out the top 250 here. Check men and women. We got the teams. We got everything you want. Next week, there's not much cross-country going on this next weekend because something like the Stockholm Marathon, Chicago Marathon, Boston Marathon, those are going down. Some of them live on FloTrack. I believe Stockholm is live in the U.S., Chicago and Boston, I believe, in Australia and Canada, but don't quote me. Check them out. It's going to be good. But next weekend's episode, I am going to come up with a galaxy brain solution to how to make cross-country actually matter more than 2 meets. How to make cross-country matter September 1st to January 1st. You know, we get 18 weeks of college football. We should get at least 10 legit weeks of college cross-country. And I came out with a way to get the coaches and the athletes to all buy into it to make a badass cross-country season where when it comes to NCAAs on my new schedule that I created, you winning that meet, you didn't just win it wasn't just the hardest race that you won. It was the hardest season of races that you win. But I'll get into it later. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave comments below. I enjoy making these episodes every Tuesday. And we'll see you next week for another episode of the NCAA Cross Country Show.